There's the cauldron beneath the moon.
And welcome back to another episode of Transcending Veils. I am your host, E. Riley.
Is it Transcending Veils or is it The Witch and the Wise Man?
Oh, shit. I'm in Transcending Veils' old studio, and I looked up and saw that and just... Okay, let's start.
Maybe we switched timelines. Maybe we went into a portal back to Transcending Veils.
Maybe. Okay, this is The Witch and the Wise Man. That's where we're at. I've been sick lately. Okay, I'm gonna leave that in. I was gonna edit it out, but I thought, nah, we'll just go with it. Maybe they'll find my old podcast out there somewhere.
There you go. How we met in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's kind of what we're talking about tonight is portals and timelines and what the hell is going on. Tanya, help me out here. What are we doing here? What's going on? This is like everybody.
Well, like you were saying earlier, it's really getting a popular topic of conversation in the metaphysical and the scientific world, right? About portals and timelines and theories around that, because I mean, as even the average person can testify, is that time is not stagnant. Like, if you're busy and you're having a great time flies, right? But if you're bored and you're not in a good situation, time drags on. So clearly it's not a static thing, because otherwise we'd experience it all exactly the same regardless. So even that is just a simple way to look at, like, that there's something going on here, right?
Well, that's, in the very bottom root of Einstein's theory of relativity, that's exactly what that explains, is everything is relative. When you're, but in his words, okay, the way he explained it, when you're with a beautiful girl and you're romancing this beautiful girl, that time just flies by like a rocket. There's just never enough time.
Yeah.
But if you're doing something really mundane and boring, it slows way down. That's relativity. That's yin yang. That's the balance, right there in life. But yeah, I agree. And this is widespread. This is not anything new. I don't think I've talked to anyone in the last 5 to 8 years that doesn't feel like something's different.
Yeah.
They can't put their finger on it,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, you even look at how, like, when I was a kid, I was taught to, like, count seconds up to 60 as, like, either 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. You count that up to 60, and that would equal your 1 minute. Well, you do that now, and you have, like, a regular clock, and it's off.
Yes.
It's not normal. Like, it's quite a bit off. And time has definitely been bizarre.
Yeah.
And it's getting real weird.
I read somewhere, where the hell was it now? It was just last week, that they are seriously considering adding another hour to the day because time is so jacked up that they can't get it balanced right again. Nothing seems to be working out, So, and I don't know, is the Earth slowing down? Is there an actual shift in the timeline that's added a little extra to it? I mean, at my age, hey, I'll take all I can get. You want to throw another hour in my day? That gives me another hour I can get shit done. I'm good with that, But
Well, they already did steal time from us. Like, you went from, like, there's like the Ethiopian Bible, where they talk about, and it's not just that, but it's like lots of different traditions talk about 13 months.
Yeah.
And then
I
it
mean,
went to, right? And then it went to 12 months. So if we were on the 13 month or 13 moon calendar, like I'd only be 45.
right.
Right? And that's so that they've sped time up once already.
Right. And that's that they used, and I'm not sure if it was here in the United States, but I know they used a 13-month calendar all the way up until the late 1800s. Now, what made them want to shift that? Because everything is on a 28-day cycle. Everything. Moon's on a 28-day cycle. Women are on a 28-day cycle. Yeah. Everything is on a 28-day cycle. If you take a tortoise and you count the number of scales going around its shell, there's 28 scales there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that was a ancient Native American calendar that crawled around on the ground. That's you know, that they use that as a calendar. Everything ran in a 28-day cycle, and if you divide it up in a 28-day cycle and put 13 months in there, everything comes out even.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they went from 27 to 31 days and shifting it back and forth. And every 4 years, we got to add a day because we fucked all this time up and we're trying to fix everything every 4 years. Why would you do that? What, you know, it doesn't make any sense.
To skew time, to confuse time, to I feel like it's deliberate, you know, to.
How can you can't confuse time. You can only confuse people.
Right.
Time is going to continue. That's nonstop. That goes, you know, forever.
But it's people's perception of time that's skewed. It's our perception. So you can mess with their perception.
Yes. Yes. But why? Why would you do that? What would set that trigger off? Because and you can't really just say, okay, this is what's making everybody feel weird. Because it's not. It's not just that. Yes, we have a skewed perception of time now. I absolutely agree with that. I've done enough research to know that
Thumbs up.
I feel very robbed because I really want that other month back.
Yeah.
I don't know what they called it, but I want it back. You know?
Right.
I like things nice and orderly and neat and everything the same. And I'm very OCD like that. You know, everything's got to be in its place and everything's got to be cookie cutter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not, you know, that throws everything out of whack. And why would they do that in the first place? In the second place, I'm still going back to this feeling of something's not right. Something is no longer balanced. Now, you can blame it on skewing time, but I think there's more going on than that. I think there's something a lot deeper going on that we don't know. We may be just touching the surface on. I have a few resources that talk about this, and they have a tendency of, yeah, I agree with them, you know, that something got fucked up big time.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's, you know, they talk about that there's all these different timelines. There's all these different versions of ourselves that split up into all these different timelines. There's the timeline where we took that job. There's a timeline where we went with and married that other person. There's that timeline, and those timelines are all living out like every decision. It's like it spreads, and there's all these timelines. And so, you know, within the spiritual community, there's a lot of talk on connecting your frequency so that it can match your highest timeline. So you can literally wake up and be on your highest timeline. And people are experiencing, and I actually experienced something years ago like this, where their birthmark was on their left side, and then they wake up and it's on their right side. Or people have completely changed their body composition overnight. I had a birthmark, a similar situation. I had a birthmark on my stomach and for years, and I woke up one day and it was gone, completely gone.
Okay. Funny you should mention that, because I had the same damn thing happen to me. I used to have a birthmark on my ankle, and it was unique because it looked like a Scottish Terrier. You know,
Okay.
it was just this large freckle, but it was like in the outline of a Scottish Terrier, and I thought it was really cool. It was on the side of my ankle. It's not there anymore. And I mean, this was something I've just noticed, like in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Where did it go? That
Yeah.
shit doesn't go away, you know. And especially the older you get, they become more pronounced, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
And your skin gets thinner and you bruise more easily. I suffer with that all the time, you know.
Yeah.
So it doesn't disappear, but mine did. It's not there anymore.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gone, and it's like,
Yeah. Mine appeared out of nowhere and about 5 years later disappeared out of nowhere. Like appeared overnight and disappeared years later for literally overnight both times. So
do
yeah, it makes you wonder what the heck.
do you think that, how can I put this? That everybody is like shifting timelines simultaneously, or
No,
is
I think that there's
everybody's
some.
own timeline?
Well, I think some of us are a collective of us are on one timeline, a collective of us are on the old timeline. Um, now we're getting into the Mandela effect where people start talking about, like, I remember things, the Fruit of the Loom with the cornucopia, and then there's all people going,
Yeah,
no, we never have the
okay,
cornucopia. You talk
and
about the bears,
right,
right?
right, and
So
you know,
that's timeline stuff.
I'm gonna touch on that too, but I don't want to get into the Mandela effect thing
Yeah.
too much because everybody's doing it. But I did hear one. I do want to point this one out to you. Um, the other day that I'd never heard before, and I didn't realize it, and I went and looked and went, son of a bitch, it did change, and
Yeah.
that was the theme song to Mister Rogers' Neighborhood. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, right? You
Yeah.
heard it a million times. Everybody sings it.
Yeah.
That ain't the words. Now it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. Is
Yeah, it's stuff
part of
like
the
that, but
song.
then there's so many of us who remember it. But that does go
Right.
directly to timelines and um yeah, it's a very interesting thing what's going on right now with it because um I've noticed things within my own life that have because I've been working a lot with like subliminal tracks when I sleep and trying to connect with my highest timeline and just different shifts that have been happening in my own life quite rapidly, and it's just I'm not at my highest timeline yet.
Yeah.
But
And
I'm
and,
working on it. I'm
and it
working on it.
it's funny because one of the things that people have experienced is going somewhere and either going, I've been here before, I just don't know when. Or on the other hand, they go, yeah, I've been there before, but I don't remember it like that, you know?
Yeah.
And that's really common. I mean, I felt that when I went to visit you in Nova Scotia. It was like,
Yeah.
you know, I had this funny feeling I'd been there before, but I don't know when. And I
Yeah.
carried that with me every time we got around the coast, around the shoreline. It was like, this is really familiar, but I don't know
Yeah.
when I would ever see
When?
it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it kind of, I don't know, it doesn't really bother me all that much. It's just, that's just the way I am. I ponder it though. I think about stuff like that a lot.
Yeah.
And then I do, like I was telling you, I started doing deep dives and looking into this stuff. And
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about it on a spiritual level before I got into the scientific
Time.
end of it.
Yeah.
That doesn't really explain it, but it you know sheds another light on it. Put it that way. Um, Now our last episode we talked about um the paranormal and
Yeah.
ghost hunts that that we've been on, things that have happened on these ghost hunts, and the way you interpret ghosts and the way that I interpret ghosts. Do you think that this could be that? Is Aspen throwing a fit?
Yeah, she is. I'm
That's
gonna
yeah,
try
you're
to
in
see
the
if I
background.
can get
That's
her.
your dog Aspen, guys. In case you don't, Aspen is a beautiful animal. That was my
In.
buddy.
I invited her in, but she was like, "No." Now she's there. She is. Oh, okay, she's our new podcast
There
guest.
she is. Hey, Aspen.
What do you think? Are we shifting timelines? Huh? Are we? Maybe. Maybe.
She got big.
She
Um,
does.
yeah, but yeah,
Like,
it's
do you think that the like paranormal is connected with timelines? Is that what you mean?
I
Like
think
we might be tapping into other versions or other realities, other
well,
timelines.
like I said, I think that the way that I look at it is we're seeing a thin spot in the veil, okay, in
Yeah,
between dimensions, and we're able to see. We're not seeing ghosts per se. We're seeing other human beings in a different time, in a different place. We're looking
yeah,
through a
yeah,
portal.
yeah.
Basically, that's what it is. It's a portal that we're able to see through to the other side. Whether they see us or not, I don't know. I have no clue. I'm not on that side,
Yeah,
But it's just something that allows us a glimpse of going
like
back.
to pierce through it. It's that, yeah.
And when we use the equipment that you use, the different meters, the EMF meters, etc., they're picking up these electrical charges. Well, excuse me, that could very well be bleeding through, coming through that portal.
Yes, I mean it's a possibility. It definitely is. Like,
Now the difference, guys, between a portal, you've heard portals, and everybody knows portals like a gateway, and a wormhole. A wormhole is basically the same thing, only longer. It's like going down a tunnel to get somewhere. Okay, it's just a shorter tunnel to get between two
2 points.
dimensions, 2 points, A and B.
Yeah.
And a portal is just a gateway. It just opens up, and you're right there on the other side is another world or another dimension or whatever. We don't know. So that's the difference between those two. I had somebody ask me the other day what the difference was, so I thought I'd throw that out there just to let people know.
Yeah.
Because like I said, this has been a topic for me for a while in the time that I've been convalescing since my operation. I've just got really, really buried into this thing. And I got, like I said, I got the scientific side, but I didn't get the spiritual connection. So I wanted you to help me out with that. Because there's got to be something, and there's got to be a way to find out if this is actually going on. How can you prove it? That's the main thing. How can you prove it? Because if it is actual timeline shift, or if it is actual switching dimensions, like we're thrown off into a different dimension, you're not going to be able to trace that. There would be no way to know that.
Well, like there's a lot of talk and like the and conversation about the third dimension and the fifth dimension, right? Like that we've now like some of us have moved to that fifth dimension. So, I don't know, would that be considered a timeline if you're on a different dimension?
It would have to be, wouldn't it?
I would think.
How could you possibly be on the same timeline and be in a different dimension? I don't see how that could happen. There's got to be a split there.
Yeah, that's the question. Aspen, Lena. That's the question. Like, so all this talk about like, and I look at it as frequency, right? Like when things are moving too fast, you can't see them with the naked eye. So it's like, is it possible that some of us have risen our frequency enough that we've now went to the fifth dimension, and the third dimension is still existing at the same time. This is that new earth, the split of the earth, right? Of the Hopi prophecy and all that about the two existing at the same time.
Right.
So it's not that the end of the world happened and everyone on the third dimension died. They're still there. They're still living. They're still existing. But we've transcended that, and we're in a fifth dimension now. And they say, like, and it's weird because it is, you'll notice people just starting to disappear out of your life, or situations or things just disappear. And it's just like, you'll never see them again. Where'd they go? It's a weird.
And it's funny because I actually experienced that just it was last week. My best friend in high school. I can't find him. I can't find any records of this guy. I had stayed in touch with him up through the 80s and had pretty much, just kept an eye on him. He was on Facebook like everybody else, and he had the whole social media thing going, and then he just disappeared one day. And I cannot find anything on him anymore. Anywhere. I've looked up other people. I found obituaries of old friends. I found, records, employment records, Intuit or and not Intuit, but what is it? Yeah, it might be Intuit. The people finder apps, that have out there. I've even gone on those, and I can't find him. He's gone. He just disappeared, and I don't know what happened to this guy. So Jeff Paul Schmidt, if you're out there somewhere, contact me. I've been thinking about you. I've been wondering how you're doing. But it's
he's off in the fifth dimension.
It could be. That very well could be. He just up and disappeared. But I can't find a trace to him at all. I thought it was really weird that I've been able to find everybody else in my life, even if they passed away, but I can't find anything on him.
That even existed. So that's crazy.
Yeah. Weird. But I don't know. It's unsettling. It's unnerving. It's fascinating, for sure. But
so on a scientific standpoint, what's your theory with that?
All right, here we go. You have, and I'm sure everyone has, heard of the CERN collider.
Right. Yeah.
Basically what they're doing is they're sending atomic particles around this gigantic ring buried, hundreds of feet underground at 99.999999% the speed of light. So it's almost the speed of light. And they're crashing these atomic particles into one another millions of times a day. Now, the reason they're doing this is just to see what would happen, because every time you do that, you are creating the beginning of the universe all over again. That's exactly what happened when
the Big Bang.
Big Bang. They're doing it millions of times a day just to see if they can find another dimension, if they can see what happens. And they found the Higgs boson particle, the God particle that creates everything. That's all matter is made out of this. Well,
seems like a great idea.
Great idea. What could go wrong, right?
Everything.
What could go wrong? Well, this young man by the name of Max Laughlin, have you ever heard of him?
Yeah, that we all died.
Right.
That we're all dead.
Yeah, exactly. What he is saying that in 2012, our universe ended. And why did it end? Because they were able to change the size of a single electron. Now, electron particles are all exactly the same. They're all interconnected. One connects with the other, but no two are different. They're all exactly the same. And they changed one. And when that one changed size, it was a catastrophic destruction of the entire universe as we know it. And we blew sideways straight into another dimension. Now, this dimension is 99% accurate. Okay? It's that close to the one we used to live in that we can't tell
Yeah.
the difference. Except you start noticing things like the cornucopia on the fruit of the loom is gone.
Yeah.
Rogers' theme is not there.
Things just
Nelson
feel a little off.
Nelson Mandela died in prison. And that's how this whole thing started. People started noticing these little subtle things,
Glitches. Yeah.
yeah, that didn't seem right. It, like I said a while ago, that the world wasn't like this when I grew up. What changed? The politics got radical. The people got insane. No one has self respect for anyone anymore. It's a complete chaotic society. It's completely different. You know, you go back to the 60s that I grew up in, the 70s, it was it was a lot more civilized. There's no other
Yeah.
way to put it than it is now.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
We had more respect for one another. We, you know, we may have had differences of opinion. That's fine. Everybody has differences of opinion. But we respected each other's difference of opinion. We didn't try to kill one another over it. That was you didn't do that. That's not human at all. And everything just got flipped and on its end, and there are a few of us out there now. Granted, you're going to have people that get on and say, hey, I just found a new Mandela effect, it's blah 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 or blah 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 or blah blah blah. Unless this has been happening multiple times, I don't see how that could be. And it may
Yeah.
have, there's no way of knowing. But it's like I said earlier, if the old universe was completely destroyed, there would be no way of telling that there was an old universe to begin with, other than these little glitches that we run into, these little Mandela effects that name
Don't
is,
quite add up.
you know. I
Yeah.
mean, we used to eat fish every Friday night from the Gordon's Fishermen. Well, it's not Gordon's anymore. It's Gorton's. Gorton. I always thought it was Gordon. That's the way I remember it. Trust the Gordon's Fishermen. You know,
Yeah.
that's changed, and it just goes on and
No.
on. You find these little things that are changing, and
Yeah. And it's a feeling of like things just being off, but you
yeah,
can't quite place your finger on it. Like
nothing.
the time is skewed. Yeah, people having different memories of the past and of these things. And yeah, it's definitely, it's like I think of the TV show on Netflix, The Stranger Things, the Upside Down. It feels like we're in the Upside Down sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the more I got into it, the more I'm sitting there going, it makes sense because it's like, and I literally I call my daughter, okay, and
Yeah.
I talked to my best friend about this. I said, do you remember back in the '80s there was a movie with the comedian Sinbad Shazam.
Oh
He
yeah,
played a
she's
genie. He go,
yeah,
yeah, I remember that.
never
The
existed.
movie was never made. It doesn't exist. But my daughter remembers it because she says, Dad, we begged you to take us to the theater to see that movie. You know,
Yeah, it's
how
all of that. Yeah.
how could so many people have the same memory, the same exact memory? That's that's where, and you can try and explain that away with your doctor, blah blah blah, all you want, but it doesn't track with me.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't explain it.
It at all, not even close.
Yeah.
How can that be possible if we're
Well, I mean, and on the spiritual side, I mean, there was, there's prophecy of, the end of the world, the like I said, the Hopi prophecy, where there's the drawings of the two worlds existing at. Are you trying to get up on my massage table? She's trying to get up on my massage table, where there's the two worlds, or the two races existing at the same time, a split, where the ones will be connected, and you can see the drawings. There's this level of people are connected and whole, and then these ones are disconnected. Their heads are not attached to their bodies. And and it talked of the split and the two worlds and the new world, and there's been those prophecies forever. So even biblically, if you want to talk about the Bible, the apocalypse and Armageddon, and there's all of that. So then there's a spiritual side that talks, if you start to really look at that, there's that level of, is that end times or the new world, or is that talking about a dimensional shift? Is that talking about moving from third to fifth dimension? What is, is that this timeline switch? So yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of these different theories are interesting, and there's parts of all of them that actually make sense to me. So I don't know actually which one I'm gonna put my my what do you say? Like, there's not one of them that I go, yeah, that's solidly it, because there's so many that actually there are parts of them that could make sense and could explain things.
Right. And it's just, I don't know, because it's to me, if that were the case, then the Bible and Revelations got the ending wrong completely. They were, because that universe, if it's dead, if there actually was a prior universe to what we're in now, it went away and we didn't even know it. It just that fast. I mean, it would be so fast you couldn't comprehend it.
Yeah.
And you just, all of a sudden, you just continue on with your day like you would until you start noticing.
Like, so would that have been like, people went to sleep and then woke up, and then they're.
The whole world doesn't go to sleep at one time.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
So
like, how would that work?
Happen, but you wouldn't have been able to tell it happened. If that shift was instantaneous, your mind's not going to know the difference, because the universe we're thrown into is 99% as accurate as the one we were in. Everything's the same except this little stuff, this stuff here and there. That people are now starting to notice. They're starting to realize. They're and the reason why I say these newer Mandela effects usually are a lot of crap is because the younger people now, as they're growing up, you think of people in their 20s and 30s, they're accepting this. This is the way the world is. This is crazy times, and that's just the way we are.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. And I've tried to explain that to younger people before, that that's not the way life was.
Yeah.
Life was, we were advancing as a race. To me, now we're going in the other direction. We're going back to caveman, territorial warfare, beating each other in the head with sticks. We're heading in the wrong direction now. It's like, what happened? The Earth changed directions it's spinning in, and or did we?
Or just like civilization.
Into another dimension.
Or does civilization reach a peak and then start to digress? Is that a normal I don't know, like,
Well,
but
that
I have to agree, it's definitely there. It does feel different. Like, there's been periods where I feel like time's moved really fast, and then there's period where time has been moving very slowly, and it's just not. Yeah, it definitely makes you question things.
yeah, yeah, and I mean it. Yes, no civilization lasts forever.
Yeah,
There's been countless civilizations on this earth before we got here. There was
yeah,
other civilizations here when we got here. That's been proven. Um, but it's easy if you look back in history to see how fragile civilizations and technology and industry are. I mean, you
yeah,
look at the Roman Empire. In the height of the Roman Empire, they were building roads, they were building aqueducts, they were building these magnificent temples and mansions and monuments and statues. And 200 years later, you have people wallowing in the mud, shitting in the rivers so they can't drink the
yeah,
water. They're in the middle of the dark ages. Well, what happened? What
yeah,
happened?
yeah.
The
Seriously.
Egyptian civilization went the same way. The Mayans, the Incas, the same way. There were all these advanced civilizations that just went and shut off, and boom, right back into the Stone Age again. Um, so it is possible, and it can happen. It's been proven over and over and over again, countless times down through history. Is that what we're in the middle of? Are we going through a big reset to where everything's got to go back to a certain time before we realize, hey, look, this is not beneficial to us as a race. We need to start moving forward again. Or do we just sit back and accept that, okay, well, this is the timeline, the universe, what we're living in
Well,
now?
but then you think about, like, how people's perceptions and their reality, um, how it's so, like, they're experiencing their reality very differently. So, like, there's those stories of the people who lived out in the backwoods, who were self-sufficient, removed from society, who didn't even know that the wars were going on, had no clue, just lived their lives out simply, happy, make growing their gardens, doing their thing, and they had no idea that the world had went through world wars. So their perception of reality was very different than those who were experiencing it through media and through, like, do you know what I'm saying? So it's like perception really has a lot to do with it, I think.
Well, I mean, there's societies out there even now who don't know anything that's going on in the modern world.
Yeah.
They're completely removed from that. But how, if we did change timelines, if we did get thrust through another dimension, how is it affecting them, do you think? Someone
Well,
that's
that's
so removed from civilization that they have no idea what's going on, would it even matter to them? Or,
that's what I'm saying is that, like maybe not, because they're so removed from it all that
yeah,
they just keep living a simpler life, so they're kind of oblivious to it. I don't know. It's
yeah,
perplexing. It's a perplexing question for sure. Of and I know even myself, like, I've had, especially recently, like, sometimes I'm just like, I wake up and I'm just like, something, like, I don't feel the same as I did as when I went to bed. Like, something so very different.
mhm.
Um yeah, then you're experiencing the world from a different outlook. Yeah, I don't know. I
Well,
look at even, like, my life a year ago to my life now. It feels like I switched timelines. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, theoretically, not even theoretically, factually, like I said, if this did happen, I mean, if CERN did blow us into another dimension,
Yeah.
we wouldn't, like I said, we wouldn't know. All we would be doing is what we're doing right now. Now there is, and I will say this, that it has not been confirmed, but it is a conspiracy theory type thing that at one time, because CERN is growing, it's getting larger, they're making it larger, they're making it bigger, so they can do this more and more often, um, which
Great
is
idea.
exceptionally terrifying. But the closer that they get to those particles hitting light speed, the they opened a portal for 11 minutes. They actually opened one up. And according to one physicist who has talked about it, one whistleblower, he said, yes, it was open for 11 minutes. There was definitely something different on the other side. Nobody went through it. Nobody went even close to it, because of fear of what would happen. And according to that particular physicist, his words were, it's not so much us going through it is what came through it when it was open for those 11 minutes.
Right.
Because ever since then, we've started having upticks in cryptid sightings. We started having upticks in UFO sightings. All of a sudden, things start happening. And, this is like, for my sister, this is the golden time of her life because of all the UFO papers that have come out now. She's like in seventh heaven because she is such an enthusiast. But does that have something to do with it? Is it bringing us closer to finding those other civilizations, or those other civilizations finding us? Don't know. If we found a portal and they're an advanced civilization, then they've got to have found them already. And
yeah, I mean, there's
why they're able to come through, and we're starting to see more and more. Either that, or just people have cameras.
Well, and I mean, that's what there's theories that's part of why there's always fighting in the Middle East, is because there's a portal there that it's not oil they're fighting over, it's over who controls that portal to the different dimensions in the Middle East. That's why they're always fighting over it.
That would be absolutely fascinating, but that would be something that we would never know about. I mean, never. That's one of those.
Yeah.
Completely, we ain't saying nothing type things, because.
Yeah.
And how would they get that? I mean, do they even?
Well, just like you said, there's been civilizations before us, so clearly these places are known, and it probably isn't the only place. Maybe there's places in the U.S. like the Grand Canyon, different places where people are not permitted. Right. So there's the ice wall, and like there's all these things. Stop! You're being so bad tonight.
Your biggest.
Yeah. She doesn't like our topic of discussion, apparently.
I don't know. Maybe she knows something that we don't know.
Maybe she does. Yeah. It's I just know it does. I agree with you. Things do feel very different. I mean, even you look at when I was a kid, I remember when somebody passed away, it was so, people mourned, it took a long time to get over somebody's death. And now it feels like somebody dies and it's just like, let's just carry on. Like, it's even that has changed so much in my generation.
Right.
Like, that's a lot of change. Like, it's like people have lost their empathy or something. I don't know, or their compassion, or maybe people are burnt out from it. I don't know. All the generational trauma from all the world wars that have been passed down and all the fighting.
And, and really, I mean, man, I don't know. It could be. I mean, there could be generational trauma. We may be getting immune to things that we weren't immune to before simply because it's in our face so much now, you know?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, back in the 60s, 70s, it wasn't like right in front of us via social media, via the internet. There was,
Yeah. Well, that's a good point because I remember my brother who passed away last year, we used to have these kinds of discussions. And he would make this valid point about the fact that, like, we're going on about how the world is getting so terrible, and there's all these this increase in this and in crime and all these things. But then he's like, in reality, like 200 years ago or even 100 years ago, we would have never known what was going on in the other parts of the world. We would have only known what our existence was in our specific area.
right.
Whereas now we're bombarded, like, there's, something happens over in another country, we know about it instantly. Well, of course, then there again with perception, we're going to perceive the world is just getting more dangerous and more hostile and people are getting worse. But are they, or is it just we're knowing about it?
And that's a valid question. And I can honestly I think I can honestly say that um, they are they're getting worse. I mean, I don't see the humanity. I don't see the compassion, that we used to have. I don't see the respect we used to have. I don't see the common courtesy we used to have. Is it because we switched timelines or is it because we've just become excuse me, so much more connected? Um, I mean, you talk about opening portals. It's right here, there's a portal right there.
Yeah.
I can go from where I'm at to anywhere in the world instantaneously with that
Yeah.
right there. That is a
Yeah.
form of a portal.
That's a black mirror.
Yeah,
that's a portal. Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, I think technology may have evolved too fast in this case, and it became dangerous. And it's
Well, if they're messing around with particles and shit, come on.
yeah. I mean, when you're creating the Big Bang a million times a day, what could go wrong? I mean,
Everything. Yeah. And isn't it that they have the statue of Callie outside
yes,
of yeah,
yes, they absolutely do. Um,
yeah. Stop.
yeah, the Indian goddess of creation, and because
Creation and destruction.
right, and then that's what to me that's what they're
They're
playing with.
messing with. Yeah,
That could
they are.
really, really go south real bad, and it may have
Yeah.
already done that, and we're just now starting to feel the effects of it. I don't know. I this is what's driving me crazy. And believe it or not, and I talk a lot about, yeah, that'll keep you up thinking about that at night. That's the shit I gotta go through with my mind every night is I get off in these rabbit holes like this, and then I lay in bed and I think about this stuff. Well, what if?
Yeah.
What if? Well, what if?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
this. Yeah, I don't remember that. I do remember that. But it's happening so frequently now. I can look at old photographs and just it's like I'm literally looking at another world. I feel very disconnected from them, even though they're my family's photographs. Hello, Aspen. It doesn't feel like it's real any longer. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah. Totally does. Yeah. Yeah, or like for me, I have very fragmented memories of my childhood,
Uh-huh.
of my life, actually, to be honest, very fragmented memories.
Yeah, yeah.
And even, like, so it's just like,
And yeah, and I know I get it a lot. Well, it's your age. Well, it may be. I forget things, okay? I'm getting up there. Am I getting old? No. No, I refuse to do that. So,
yeah, bring that.
I'm not going to do that. Um,
No.
but yeah, I mean, there's just been so much that has shifted, that has changed. That's not right anymore. And
But I definitely
it
feel
has,
like since COVID has happened too, it's really exacerbated the difference. Like things really feel different since 2019 to me.
yeah, exactly. And in my opinion,
Oh,
and it's my opinion, that was a great little experiment in mind control, people control,
stop.
and it worked. It worked very well. It worked very well. Um, I knew it was a lot of shit because at that time I was working in a factory, and the factory that I was working at made swimming pool covers and swimming pool liners. And when COVID hit, they shifted over. Instead of making swimming pool covers, they started making surgical masks. And then we became
Uh,
essential, and we could go to work while everybody else had to stay home.
oh, boo.
So yeah, that's so yeah, that's whatever you want to think about that. Your business. I don't give a shit. That's your business. But it's definitely, the world has changed. There's definitely something different. There's a different vibration.
There is,
I
yeah.
don't feel a peaceful vibration any longer like I used to.
Well, the Earth's frequency and has been amped up. It is vibrating faster. The solar flares have been happening a lot more lately, and I do think it affects time.
Yeah. And so, we're shifting, times are changing. I guess, we can dive all night long and trying to figure this out, and
Oh, this is a
it'll
huge
never be
topic.
figured out. Uh,
Huge topic,
yeah.
honestly.
But the more I read about it, the more I look into it, the more I study it, there's something happened and we're not being told. And that's what pisses me off more than
But
anything.
we feel it. But we feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. I can definitely tell you that something is amiss. Something's wrong. And
Yeah.
people are growing up now thinking this is normal. This is not normal. I remember
No,
normal. I remember,
I miss normal.
yeah, yeah. I remember, my family going to the beach like on the 4th of July. When my father was in the Marine Corps, we'd go down to the beach in Oceanside, California, and they would have a big fireworks display off the pier over the ocean. And we would dig out this big hole in the sand that we could all lay down in and watch the fireworks. And we would, have a barbecue out on the beach with 10 gazillion other families of every nationality, of every color, of every
Yeah.
political view, and everybody got along. This guy would help this guy. These people would help these people. We would
Yeah.
share dinner with them. They would share dinner with us. It was just a very, very peaceful time, and everyone was getting along and enjoying one another. I'm not saying there wasn't crime. There absolutely was crime. There absolutely was bad people out there, but the majority of the people
We're good.
We're good. And
Yeah.
wanted to get along and wanted to help each other and wanted to grow and wanted to love and wanted to take care of their families and wanted to see their families grow. And all of that has disappeared. All of it is gone. I don't go places now simply because there's too many people there. There's too much going on, and I can't keep an eye on everybody at one time. That's exactly how I feel now. And that's
Wow.
a shame. That's a shame you should have to feel that way. But, you know, that's the mess we're living
It's like
in.
been like a loss of humanity and a loss of heart, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, just care. And I don't know. I don't think we'll ever get to the bottom of this. We'll just keep noticing more and more weird shit, you know? So,
And we'll just keep talking about more and more weird shit.
yeah, well, that's kind of what we're in the business of too, you know?
It's true.
All right, Tanya, I know you've had a long day, dear.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and it's you probably still have a lot more to go, knowing you. So I'm gonna let you go. Guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode. If you have any input on this, you know where to get us. It's been
You
flashing.
probably have more questions than answers now.
Yeah. So everybody, and Tanya, you take care of yourself, dear. I love you.
I will, you too.
And folks, we will talk to you later. Be good to one another. And like Tanya always says, don't be a dick. We'll talk to you all later. Good night.
Her laughter is shadow.
Remember, you can reach either Tonya Steinborn or D.E. Riley at thewitchandwiseman@gmail.com. Also, if you prefer to watch our podcasts, you can find us on YouTube or Spotify video at The Witch and the Wiseman.